What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the Philly Frenzy podcast as we are back in the building starting today, July 1st. My name's Matt. I am your host. As always, I am here with my buddy Rob. What is going on, Rob?
Man, just excited to be back on doing the pod. A lot of big things going on in sports right now. Big NBA going on with the conference finals. Obviously, the West got decided last night. That was exciting. I'm excited for Chris Paul, getting to a finals finally. And then we're dead in the swing of things in baseball, which is what we're going to be talking today.
So today we are coming to you on July 1st as we reboot the Philly Frenzy podcast. We're going to start with the MVP race in the Major League Baseball. We're going to hit two guys in the National League, two guys in the American League. It's very clear who the two guys are on both sides.
I think so.
What I want to do today, so when we do this, Rob, you're a Yankees fan, so you're more aware of the American League teams a little bit more than me being a Phillies fan, paying attention more to the National League side. Why don't I allow you to pick your American League winner today, and I'll pick the National League winner, but we'll both weigh in on both sides.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's do a Nick Sirianni real quick. You want to go first or I want to go first? Let's get a little rock, paper, scissors going. We don't really have to do rock, paper, scissors. But, let's start with the National League. We have Tatis Jr. and we also have Jacob deGrom. deGrom, to me, with that 0.69 ERA that he has through, I believe it's 11 starts, 58 innings pitched, he's over 100 strikeouts. For him, if he sustains what he's doing, and Rob, you said 30 hits, 9 runs, and 6 earned runs, correct?
Last I saw, which I looked earlier today. That's what I remembered seeing from him. His numbers are literally incredible. I've never. So he's got a 7-2 record, 0.69 ERA, 122 strikeouts, an 0.53 WHIP. He has a WAR rating of 4. He's gone 78 innings so far. He's had 11 walks, which gives him an 11.1 strikeout to walk ratio. And he's only given up 30 hits, 9 runs, 6 earned on the season. And he's started 13 games.
Yeah, if he sustains this excellence throughout the whole season, we don't have an injury from him. I know he had a little bit of a setback earlier in the year. There's no question that he's the National League MVP. There's no question that he's.
It also helps that as of right now, the Mets are in first in that division, so of course that always helps your case. Now I know that you were saying the other guy you think, and I agree, is Tatis. And the Padres are playing fantastic this year. They're 49-33. One of the best teams in the National League. Unfortunately for them, they're in a stacked conference because they're currently in third place in their conference with a 49-33 record because they happen to be in the West where San Francisco and the Dodgers play. But if you look at it, the top 3 records and winning percentages in the National League are those 3 teams in the West. Which is crazy to have 3 teams that fantastic all happening to be in the same division.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on the manager for the Giants. I hate him.
You could You should know who it
I
is.
know who it is. I can't think of his name.
He was your previous manager, wasn't he?
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Come on, you don't hate him that much.
Yeah, I do. Da, 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 da. What is his name? You have to know his name.
It's Gabe Kapler, son.
Thank you, Gabe Kapler,
Guy who wasn't good enough for the Phillies.
Mr. Sunscreen.
Mr. Sunscreen. Call him whatever you want, bro. He's got that team humming because they. So you know, we were also talking Tatis Jr. Um, Currently, Tatis Jr. is batting 300, 26 homers, 56 RBIs, which respectively is 13th, tied for second, tied for fifth in the league. So, I mean, he's having a heck of a year by his own right. He's also top five in steals with 16. Um, he's got a 705 slugging percentage. So when his guys are on base, he's delivering for that San Diego team. Uh, in most other years, I would say that he would have an excellent shot of winning an MVP, but with what DeGrom is doing this year, it's just absolutely insane. So that makes it tougher for, I mean, anybody else to even be in the discussion. Um, as Matt said, he believes it's going to be DeGrom if he continues what he's doing. I 100% agree. I mean, you got a guy pitching a sub 1 ERA. That's absolutely historic. So that's where I think our opinions fall on the National League. Moving to the American League side of the ball, this is a really interesting race for MVP. To me, the two guys that are by far the cream of the crop this year are Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the Blue Jays and Shohei Ohtani for the Angels. Um, Vladdy Guerrero is batting 339, tied, which is third in the league, tied for second in home runs with 26, leads the league in RBIs, and this is the majors, not just the American League, in RBIs with 66, leads the MLB in OPS with the 1.117. Um, he's got 49 walks on top of that. Only 59 strikeouts for a power hitter like him is huge. 442 on base percentage with those walks. I mean, he's having an incredible year. But man, I really feel with Ohtani, what he's doing with the pitching and the hitting. Now, I know he got rocked yesterday by the Yankees in the first and got pulled after 2/3 of an inning with earned runs, which jumped his ERA way up. He was at like I believe like a 2.7 or 2.8, something like that, and it jumped up to a 3.6, getting rocked around like that. But he's still impressive. He's also batting 277, leads the majors with 28 home runs, third in RBIs with 63, third in OPS with a 1.045. Unfortunately for him, the Angels are terrible, which may hurt him a little bit, but with what he's doing on both sides of the ball, previously to yesterday's start pitching, I know that Matt and I had looked up, some of his numbers and what he's been doing on the year. He had given up less home runs pitching than he's hit individually, given up less runs hitting than he's driven in individually.
And he's also walked less batters than he's walked.
And he's walked more than he's walked batters. So, I mean, this dude is a freaking android as far as I'm concerned, and nobody's going to be able to do anything to convince me otherwise. Even getting rocked for those 7 runs in the first yesterday, I still think he's got a lead in the MVP race. I just don't know how. I mean, he's basically at this point a top five hitter and a top 10 to 15 pitcher
My argument would be
not in the American League, in the major.
my argument to that would be yeah, he's a top 5 hitter and a top 10 pitcher. But Vladdy arguably is the best hitter in baseball right now.
I wouldn't argue that at all. My whole thing is just I think any other year Vladdy would win the MVP going away if he keeps doing what he's doing. But if Ohtani can keep pitching and if he gets back on track to what he was doing in pitching, we know that ERA is going to come back down. So if he ends up at the end of the year sub 3 ERA, winning pitching record, which he has right now, and stays this hot as a hitter, I don't know how you can't give that guy MVP when he's literally been one of the biggest driving forces behind the Angels winning any freaking game is because, like I stated earlier, I mean, unfortunately for him, they are absolutely god awful. Um, they don't have a prayer of making the playoffs. I don't think I know they're like 8 or 9 games back right now. So I mean that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but the 8 or 9 games back could swing real quick because it looks like Trout's going to be back right after the All-Star break, and if Trout can come back and beat Trout, going along with this new Ohtani that's in town because Ohtani wasn't doing this before at this high of a level consistently. That Angels team does look a little bit more dangerous. Yeah, we're talking.
Oh, I don't disagree, man, at all. I mean, Trout's going to make a big difference for them. But like I said, the reason I think Ohtani is the MVP, look at what his stats are. And the fact that without Trout, he's stepped up and showed out in a big way that he can help keep that team even a little bit together. They're only 2 games below 500. Getting Trout back, they can make a little bit of a run. The thing that's tough is I pulled it up now. They're 8.5 back from Houston, and they're 8 back from the A's in their own division. On top of the fact that you got a 50-win team in the Red Sox, a 47-win Tampa Bay team, a 47-win Chicago team in the White Sox right now. So you got the White Sox are probably going to win their division. They're not going to have probably a wild card team because the next best team there is Cleveland with 42 wins. But to have 42, 48 win teams right now in the West and a 47 and a 50 win team in the East, to even try and chase that, they're 7 games out of the wild card right now, because the second wild card right at this moment would be the Rays at 47 and 34. So they're about 7 games back of even being a wild card team. There's a lot of season left and a lot could happen, but man, that is a lot of ground to make up. So it's kind of tough for me to think that they could make the playoffs even with Trout coming back. Anything's possible. I get that, but so I will admit that will hurt Ohtani a little bit because for one reason or another, that does affect your MVP standing with how good your team's doing. But I think if he wasn't on that team right now, they would be literally probably one of the worst records in baseball. I think that's fair to say. And he's, in the absence of Mike Trout, been able to keep that from happening. So right now, my MVP would be Ohtani. that's pending everybody's staying in the same direction they are right now. And I think Vladdy Jr. is very close. I also wouldn't be shocked if he were to win it. But to me, right now, those two guys have separated themselves from the rest of the pack, kind of similar to, even more so probably than the way that DeGrom and Tatis have in the National League.
Yeah, I mean, my question for you would be with the let's take Ohtani, let's take Vladdy in the American League. Say Vladdy, let's look into the future.
Okay.
Vladdy stays at right around 340. Say he bats 335 for the year and he hits 55 home runs and he drives in 125 RBIs. Blue Jays finish fourth because more than likely that's where they're going to finish. Ohtani comes out. He bats 265, gets up to about 44, 45 home runs, brings in about 100. I'm not going to do a win-loss record for him because it's difficult with how terrible that Angels offense is right now. But I'll just give you an ERA. Say his ERA is a 3.24, and his strikeouts per inning stays at 12, or strikeouts per 9 stays at 12. At that point, does Ohtani still win?
You got a 3.24 in the AL is elite. I mean, that's ace pitching level. Basically, there's right now in the American League, there's only two guys that are sub 2 ERAs. One is Garrett Cole on the Yankees, and man, I am gonna
Lance Lynn from the White Sox. I
Lance
believe it
Lynn
was.
from the White Sox, I think, is the other one. As you are correct in saying that. Yes, it was Lance Lynn. So it's not like there's a bunch of in the NL right now. There's a bunch of guys under a 3 ERA, but that's because you have the absence of a DH, which is why anything around 3 is considered elite in the American League. Always has been that way. So if Ohtani puts up those numbers, I honestly do, and I just think that there's so much hype around him right now, and in today's day and age, that is part of it. Unfortunately, he has been the headline all year. So
yeah, you stop what you're doing and you watch his at bats.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that you should. I mean, people should be stopping what they're doing to watch Vladdy Jr.'s at bats too. I'm not taking anything away from that kid. Like I said, I think any other year, he would have a solid chance of winning the MVP. The problem is with him, he's not playing on a very good team either. Toronto's most likely not going to make the playoffs. So, where I was saying that takes away from Ohtani a little bit, it also takes away from him a little bit that his team isn't doing that great. So it's tough. I mean, with the numbers you just gave me, yes, I would still probably give a slight advantage to Ohtani, my opinion, just because historically what he's doing, being that, hitting and pitching at the same time has not been something that has regularly happened in Major League Baseball since the 1900s, the early 1900s. So, with all that being said, I believe if they both stay on a similar pace to what they're doing right now, that the writers will give Ohtani the MVP.
All right, I just have one last question before we wrap up today.
Absolutely.
If Ohtani strikes out 200 batters and hits 45 home runs this season, is he going to the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I think it's too early in his career to say that. I don't know that one season can get a guy into the Hall of Fame. That's all I'm trying to say.
That dominant of a season?
Yeah, but what? So what if he comes out next year and he can't strike anybody out, and he's got a 5 ERA, and he's batting 208, and he hits 20 home runs on you? You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen with him. The guy's only played since what, 18? I think he came over.
18 or 19.
I mean, for me right now, it's tough because he's never displayed power like this previously. Um, I mean, I think they also limited his bats a little bit more then, because his first 2 years he played just over 100 games and had like 300 to 400 ABs. He's already got 270 at bats this season. But I mean, this is already his career high home run and RBI wise. You know what I mean? He was a guy that had over 100 strikeouts both of those 2 full seasons. And for all of you out there, yeah, I'm not really bringing up 2020 because it is what it is. You know, it was a shortened season, so the stats are kind of off. He's literally having a career year in almost every stat except for batting average. He's down a little bit from those first years. He batted 285 and 286 in 18 and 19. He's batting 277, so right in the same area. But his slugging percentage is up. His home runs are up. RBIs are up. He has just about another quick mention on him. He has 11 stolen bases, which is one shy of his career high of 12. He has the highest WAR rating he's ever had, highest OPS, highest slugging he's ever had. On base percentage is .001 shy of his career high. So this is a career year. Now, if this continues to be the Ohtani you see, something similar to what he's done this year, then yes, he's a Hall of Famer. But it's kind of one of those things. I think it's a little too early for me to say. I don't think one season gets you in, though.
All right. I wanted to just get your input on it.
If he does what you just said, he'll be talked about forever. That season will be talked about forever. But I think you need to do, he doesn't have to have those numbers. He's going to have to put together more quality to the Hall of Fame for baseball. Let's be honest, we both know it's probably the pickiest Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Of almost any sport with who they put in. So, or the most protected, I would say, Hall of Fame. So I don't think a guy's going to get in there based on one season. Just my opinion. What is your opinion on that, by the way, to reverse that question on you before we end?
My opinion would be if Ohtani retired after this season, you would have to actually think about it. You're talking 200 plus strikeouts and 40 plus home runs. I don't even think Babe Ruth had those numbers in the same season.
Probably not in the same season. No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, if he was to walk away after the season, I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 years. We're probably talking roughly 125, 150 home runs in his career. But we're talking a season that everyone will talk about forever. I feel like that would change baseball moving forward to have Ohtani have success the way he's having this year in multiple years. And start seeing more Ohtanis coming up through high school and college. And I think that might make the game a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because it's really funny when you think about it. What Ohtani's doing is what you do as a kid playing baseball.
Yeah.
Like, even up through the high school level, sometimes into college. Some of these guys do that kind of stuff, and it doesn't really get talked about as to why it hardly translates to the MLB anymore. Because, I mean, like we said, back in the early 1900s, that was what a lot of guys did. But it's been hundreds of years since we've seen guys do what he's doing and do it at this level. I mean, there's probably been some guys here and there that have attempted it since, but no one really notable. You know what I mean? I think the most notable hitter-pitcher of all time is Babe Ruth.
Yep.
And he's regarded as one of, if not the greatest ball player of all time.
And the sad part is, he's a better pitcher than he was hitter.
Yeah. And if he would have just been stuck to one side or the other, he could have been the greatest pitcher of all time if he stayed a pitcher. And if he would have never pitched and only hit, he would have been easily the best hitter of all time.
Yep.
For power hitters. Because he would have had more career home runs than anybody if he wasn't also pitching a lot early in his career.
All right, so we'll just run it down real quick. Robbie chose Ohtani to win MVP in the American League.
I also agree with your choice of DeGrom.
I would disagree with Robbie, and if it wasn't for Joe fucking Carter in '93, I'd have a Vladdy jersey. I'm a huge Vladdy fan. I do believe that he's going to be the best player in baseball moving forward for multiple years. You can see the way the kid is. His work ethic's unbelievable. He just wants to get better and better every single day. It helps that, everybody knows who Vladdy Sr. is. And, the idea of possibly getting the mini Vladdy Sr. during a time period where everyone wants to see the ball fly is exciting. So Vladdy has turned into one of my favorite guys in the league at the moment. I mean, I love Ohtani. I love what he does on both sides. But to me, I like Vladdy a little bit more. I believe both teams suck, to be honest with you. If we were talking Ohtani on the Yankees and we're talking, Vladdy in Boston, I mean, get them both in the same division and have them both. I mean, then we're having a little bit more of a conversation.
Just Yankees, okay?
No.
Yes.
So I mean, if they were both,
move Vladdy. Vladdy's enough of a headache for me on Toronto. He definitely ain't going to Boston.
I'm just saying, if you put these two guys on two winning franchises, it would make the race a little bit more interesting. People would probably tune in a little bit more. You're not just going to tune in to watch the Los Angeles Ohtanis or the Toronto Vladdys. That's kind of the sad part about both the teams.
People forget, even though that the Angels are in LA, I mean, they're really in Anaheim.
Yeah.
But they're really still a small market team because the LA market is Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not their city. So.
No, and they're not even third. If you think about it, San Francisco, I believe, is a bigger market than the Angels team is.
I would also guarantee you that there are more Oakland A's fans than there are Los Angeles Angels fans.
Yeah, that's possible too. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
The A's were for a very long. Historically, the A's are one of the best franchises in baseball. Now, granted, they didn't start in Oakland. I am aware of that. They were the Philadelphia Athletics first, but they had success they've had plenty of success in Oakland as the Oakland A's. And I know that Oakland fan base is a loyal fan base to their city. So,
I mean, with the money ball too, that definitely helped them out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But so Robbie's got Ohtani, I got Vladdy. A little bit of bias. I love Vladdy. And then the National League side, Robbie said he agrees with me with DeGrom.
You can't not at this point. The dude's pitching sub-1 ERA. That's freaking insane.
The only thing that scares me with DeGrom is we all know how the Mets are when it comes to starting pitchers. It scares me that there could be an injury down the line, or the Mets could completely fall apart and end up being the third or fourth place team in that division. And we're talking about DeGrom being 14-2 with a sub-1 ERA on a team that only wins 70 games. So I feel like that would kind of throw it out the window if Tatis goes and gets San Diego at the number one spot in the West and continues to put up the numbers he's putting up. That's why it's a little bit more interesting on the National League side. You got two teams fighting for, first place.
Yeah, that is what, to me, makes the National League race a little more interesting. It's, first of all, it's bigger market teams. Because even though the Mets are the baby New York franchise, they still have a ton of loyal fans all over. And then obviously San Francisco is a historically great franchise as well. So, if Tatis can take over that first spot from that red hot San Francisco team, and that's a team that people are used to seeing at the top of the division. Also, the Dodgers being in that division, if they can win that division, it's right now baseball probably. I mean, that would be huge for him in the MVP race.
Yeah.
So,
it's
an interesting watching baseball this year. I'm actually, I'll say it loud. Maybe this is the most interested I've been in baseball. These young kids have rejuvenated my love of this game.
So we're gonna wrap it up. Again, thank you for coming out and supporting the Philly Frenzy podcast. You can follow both of us on Twitter. My handle is mhathaway23 and Robbie's is Rob Danka. Go ahead and hit us with a follow. If you have any questions, feel free to DM us. Also, we will be putting out a show within the next few days. Actually, we'll be having a few shows in the next few days. We got a couple crazy topics. I'm not going to give out any information on those because I feel like these topics will be something that you guys actually like. Again, we do have a fantasy football league that we will be running. We'll do a live draft on our podcast. In 10th place, we'll have to come on and do something stupid and ridiculous. More than likely a $20 buy-in. If you don't have balls, don't even sign up. We're not going to do the, yeah, I'm in, and then you lose, and then you don't even come on the podcast. So with that, we're going to shut it down. Rob, you got anything to say?
I'm just happy to be back. Excited for the episodes we're going to be putting out. Excited for the Fantasy Football League as a fantastic fantasy football player and a multiple-time league champion in other leagues. So if you think you're good at fantasy football, bring your shit this way. I'll rock it.
All right, with that, it's Philly Frenzy out.